This is the first day of the June 1987 7-day retreat. This being the first talk, let us say something about the talk and listening to the talk and the relationship itself between the one who is listening and the one who is talking. As we already mentioned last night, the time of the talk is not one where we ask that people not move. Feel free to move if you have a kink in the leg or feel uncomfortable. And also see to find a comfortable cushion arrangement or chair. Sometimes people tell me the first talk or the first few talks are an almost total loss when I'm so tired from what one maybe came from all the hecticness of our work or doing extra work in order to make it possible to come here, or the preparations, going into preparing for a retreat, the food preparation and so forth, housekeeping. And then sometimes people also wonder, is it just the tiredness that there's so little listening, or is there something I don't want to hear? This is to find out. There is a brief rest period before a talk where one can take a nap. If one can sleep at that time. And if one falls asleep or drops off here and there, or is not listening, then that's that. Becoming aware of it, to see it and let go of it, not to recriminate against it or find excuses or explanations, rationalizations. If that is going on, to see how the mind works in the presence of facts. Hardly ever able to leave a fact be a fact, but try to explain it or give a reason for it. Battle it. Justify it. If there's no sleepiness, how does one listen to a talk? Or if one is sleepy, let's not exclude that. Because even if one is sleepy, it's possible to listen. And here we're not talking about our usual listening to talks, lectures, speeches, sermons. Which are given to convey something, to give something to the memory, something to remember, to carry with one, to mull over, repeat to oneself so one doesn't forget it for the exam or for the next time the topic comes up in conversation, so one has something to contribute from one's reservoir of memories. This is not what a talk like this is about, even though it may function that way. But the the essence of talking here is to look at things together right now, to be open to what is being said, not uncritically accepting it, but wondering about it, looking as the talking proceeds, whether what is said is actually so. Maybe at this moment, if we talk about fear, for instance, there may be no fear, but maybe fear can be evoked at the moment it's being talked about and therefore looked at. And certainly can one look at it when it comes up next time in a new way. So in listening, can the openness be without a point of view? One may have come here to have one's point of view confirmed, agreed with. But this is not what this work is about. It is to see what is living and listening and responding and relating without a point of view. To see the blindingness of a point of view, how it hides and limits and narrows the listening field. May even exclude listening to what is being said if it does not agree with one's point of view. One doesn't want to hear it. It's too frightening or too angering, threatening. So here can one be freely, openly exposed to fear and threat in listening what is being said, not accepting it, not going along with it, but looking, wondering. In an openness that is vulnerable. We talked about that last night. Vulnerable to hurt, to the fear of insecurity. Because we do begin to feel insecure when our points of view, our assumptions, our prejudices, our ideals are questioned, begin to shake in their foundation. And there's feeling of insecurity. Can one live with that? And not have that be the motive for getting security in a new point of view. Maybe by accepting what is being said unquestionably. What is a listening that is so open, unprejudiced? That there is no partition in it. Partition provided by me. I want this, I don't want that. I know this, that is unfamiliar and therefore threatening. Can one see these partitions coming up, see them, and not judge, not say this shouldn't be. I must do away because she talked about an open listening. I must be open. No me there that says you must be this way, mustn't that be, but just free to hear the whole thing that's going on inside and out. Free not to hear the whole thing if there are barriers, but to wonder about these barriers. Where they come from, what they are, if they are irrevocable. I think out of what we've already said, it emerges that this is not a relationship of student-teacher. I've talked about it as many times as there has been a retreat given, and also outside of retreat. This is not a relationship of authority and someone bowing to that authority or accepting it. I don't see myself as an authority. You may say, well, you don't see yourself, but you're anyways. Why is one an authority to another person? Why does one see another person as an authority? And we're talking about this situation here. We're not talking about attending a physics class where the professor giving the lecture is an authority on the topic that he's lecturing about. But one doesn't have much familiarity with and wants to gain more knowledge in that topic, in that field. We're not talking about a school situation, a training situation. Learning judo or some other physical thing, or learning to play piano, or learning a skill, carpentry. Where obviously one goes to learn or apprentice with someone who knows more than one knows oneself, can do more to learn skills and knowledge. But here, if a talk or a meeting flows, it comes from meeting something together on the same level. Not one person being in the know and having something and the other person wanting to get that. But looking at a problem together. From no point of view. Looking what is presenting itself. What's actually there. And this there, just what's there, the facts. Not an authority on the facts. So what is the relationship? What is the quality of the relationship between you and me? To me, this is very clear. Is it to you? Does one have images of this person? And do these images get in the way? As one approaches the person, sits there in the solarium, waiting for meeting, what comes up? See, this relationship has tentacles reaching into the far past of our life, the distant past. Doesn't have to, but it does have, unless these tentacles are seen and severed in the seeing. Touching upon our relationship with our parents, our mother, teachers, ministers, priests, anybody in a position of authority. when one brings that into the relationship, unless there's a deep, profound awareness of it, it functions. Unless this awareness severs the ties to the past and there's the working right now as two human beings looking at something together. But if the past ties are operating, then one relates to this person as some authority figure, some mother figure or teacher figure, and brings the corresponding emotions to the relationship. Wanting something, fearing something. Wanting approval. Fearing rejection. Or if one has always seen oneself in a certain light in the presence of mother figure, father figures, teacher figures, bringing that image of oneself into the relationship. And that has varied. It's not always been the same, being good at times, being bad at other times, worthwhile, unworthy, guilty of not doing right, proud of doing right. See, just this alone can throw so much light on our conditioned predispositions, on meeting a new person or a person one has known for a short time or for a long time. If we've known each other for a long time, worked together for a long time, can one yet get together here or in the meeting room or when we sit eating together as new persons who do not yet know each other and oneself. What we know is the past, the way we were yesterday, a half hour ago, or years ago. But that may not be what we are now. How about feeling and listening and relating now? If we cling to the thoughts of it, then these thoughts influence us to be the same. But we don't have to be influenced by our memories of what we were, did, or she was and did before in the past. That's such an enormously freeing insight, out of which comes real relationship. Not based on anything of the past, but alive in relating, looking, listening now, or being quiet together now. But this is not something to now make into an ideal goal to be attained. And then we are back into the thought process and the striving for something, and away from what is going on right now. What is this striving? What is the idealization of a person? Can one see it instantly? What takes over the mind? And therefore, no more seeing possible. One just sees the ideal and projects this onto the person. It's one of the most crucial processes in our relationship to become aware of. Not seeing the person at hand openly, not knowing and of finding out, and instead projecting images. If you've been here many times, you've heard these words before. But to see an image is not talking about an image. To see an image may mean to drop it, so that there's suddenly nothing in between. Just the aliveness of it, of the moment. If one has been to Zen centers before coming here, there are a number of visual and auditory reminders. There's a bell, there's a wooden block, there are the round cushions and square mats. And the brain functions in associative ways. We don't decide to do that, but something reminds us of something else, and it goes almost said faster than thought. The connections are made, and the associations are not just between thoughts, memories, but emotions, feelings, past experiences. And if there's not awareness of this process going on, these past experiences have influence on our present perceptions, our present behavior, thinking. So we're asking a lot. We're using these cushions. We're using a wooden block and a bell. But can one see and hear this? Aware of associations that may take place, and yet not influenced by them. Just listen to the sound, see a round cushion or people sitting, as though one had never heard or seen that. Meaning free from the past. The walking around after a round of sitting, we touched upon it last night. Again, is that fraught with remembrances, associations which may not be conscious. Usually that's their way of not being in the awareness, not being in the superficial consciousness, and yet operating, feeling of being somewhere with a group, the good feeling of togetherness under a common symbol. That's what all of these items function as. They can function as symbols standing for something else, for a tradition, for a training, for a philosophy, a dogma, an ideology, a faith. They do not, but they can. The mind can provide all of this through its past associations. And of course, not just round cushions and sounds of bell and block, but anything we see, a person. Coming back to what we started from, can one see freshly? Not project all the past onto what's here now. Then we never live here. And we always live in the past, as long as that projection and association functions unawares, automatically, habitually, with a tremendous weight. And we can talk all day about living in the here and now, but we don't. The mind transforms the so-called here and now into the past processes. The person one reacts to is not this person right here, but somebody from the past. To see that, to have an insight into that. We do it all the time, and we can see it at any time. Then a spell is broken. We don't know each other from before, and therefore we can meet directly as two human beings concerned about understanding each other from moment to moment in our shared problems. This is the essence of this work, not the form it takes, the cushions that are used, the sounds that are used to signify the end of a round. But can we meet each other freshly each moment? Even when there's no mutuality? There may be openness here in one person. And what one meets is image. One feels the image the person has of oneself. Reaction to that image, project upon oneself. Does this mean that the openness closes up in oneself? Or can that be embraced as well? Embracing meaning nothing emotional, deliberate, but no rejection of it, no judgment of it. Embracing meaning the presence of love. Which doesn't want things for oneself, a better person to relate with. Then there's not love, then there's wanting, fearing I may not have the right relationship with this person. An unconditional openness to this, just like with the birds, it's so easy, isn't it? Wee, wee, wee. What is there to criticize, or to reject, or to attach to? How does one listen to the birds? Brain may already have said this is a bird, or what kind of a bird is that? I haven't heard that in my hometown. And sort of scanning for a name for what this is. Can one become aware of that this is going on, and that in the presence of scanning for the name and going off on associations, the bird call sort of withers away either into the background or it's not there at all. I'm so occupied now with needing to find out the name, or carried away by associations with bird song. And then if one does become aware of that, and the inattention to what's there, the sound, can one listen again? Start over. Not how can I get back that moment of clear listening, clear hearing. That's the brain searching its files. That's not listening. Listening is completely simple. Doesn't take any effort or any preparation, intention. It's just peep, peep. The mind doesn't need to comment. It may. Then can one be aware of that? Not to judge it or condemn it or try to be free from commenting so one has clear listening. But just see and hear what's going on in a simple way, uncomplicated by further thoughts and desires. In taking a walk through this utterly lush green landscape, the incredible burst of wildflowers, the white and yellow, the pinks of whatever all these names are of flowers, it doesn't matter. How does one see it, feel it, hear it, smell it? Sense the air and the skin. Is it simple? Does one have to make an effort? Is the mind immediately taken over with reaction? The sound of the water standing on that bridge. Can one listen and look? The shimmering bedrock, the green algae, and that water flowing, flowing, flowing. It's not complicated. It doesn't present a philosophy. We impose one. We may impose one, but it's not there. What is there is what is there. Let's look. If for moments at a time the mind can be free from all its accumulation, and there just be an open listening and looking. And when the accumulation is there again, the reactions and the thoughts and associations and wanting and whatever, at the moment of awareness of that, which happens, awareness does happen. What will the reaction be at that moment? Or will there be any? Realizing one has not listened, one has not seen, there has been involvement with what happened last week or what one is afraid will happen in weeks to come or wants to happen in weeks to come. Can that just be seen at a glance, the mentation, the activity of thought, memory, projection, association? Just to see it at the moment one becomes aware that this is what has taken place. Is that possible? To glimpse it as one glimpses the water running over the bedrock with the algae and the bubbles. Not say it shouldn't be. That's our habitual reaction. It shouldn't be, or it's all right to be. Why shouldn't it be? all of these reactions are what they are, reactions. They're not the actual thing that is being reacted to. It's a build-up, layer upon layer upon layer, insulating us further and further from what's actually going on. Can that be seen? The brain may throw out the question, how can I see? How can I be aware in the way that has been described? As far as I can tell, I am not aware in this way. I don't see in this way. How can I get this direct insight or glimpse or simple perception? Is one now carried away with this question that the brain has thrown out, wondering how to get it, what to do, what not to do, what method to practice concentration or counting of breaths or whatever one may have been doing in the past? Then can one see this is what it is? Occupation with ideas of method in order to attain a goal, simple perception. Wake up to the fact that this is going on at this moment. How one wakes up, I don't know. How awareness or an insight happens, I can't say. I think anybody can say. And nobody can affix a cause to that. It's being done. Do this and this and this, and then you will get that and that and that, and we fall for it all the time. We believe in it, and the belief gives us some energy of hope, energy for the practice, and the practice itself gives us energy because we have something to do. But all of that is not insight. That is relegated to the future. Postponed. If questions come up during the talk, something doesn't seem to make sense, or one wants to explore it further or go over it again from scratch, please bring it to the meeting. You're not sure you can remember it till the meeting, that's fine. Make a little note after the talk and bring the note out. Sometimes people bring a piece of paper out in the meeting, are very apologetic about it. There's nothing to be apologetic about. We don't expect anything. So that, as we said in the very beginning, nothing is said here to be accepted, agreed upon, or bought, believed in, but questioned. And things don't make sense. I'm never ever claimed or will ever claim infallibility. How could I? I'm a human being like everybody else, sharing the same mind, the same consciousness that we all operate with. It's difficult to put something into words, and not the right words may be picked. Words always have different associations for everybody. Not for everybody, for many different people. One word can evoke many different associations, which may not have been meant in using the word here. And I never insist upon a certain expression. On the contrary, let's throw out this expression, let's find a new one. But not in order to find good expressions, but to see what these expressions stand for, what they point at, where they come from. That's the important thing, not how it is being expressed. Actually, truth need not be expressed. It stands on its own. It is what it is. So it is always a risky thing trying to express something that is seen to be so. And one may not even see clearly. Not see clearly and put it in poor words. What a mess. So let's question together. Not ever, no matter how convincing a person sounds, or how clear he or she may be putting things and with what certainty, not take any of these as criteria for the person speaking the truth. One has to see for oneself. Can never hope or depend on somebody else doing it and then taking this over. We do it, but what a mess we get into with ourselves and each other on a small scale and on a global scale. By believing the words of convincing, sure-sounding leaders. We broached that question in the very beginning. I don't think I entered into that. Why does one make an authority out of a person? That has to be looked at in great depth in oneself. The tremendous need that we have for authority figures based on past upbringing. It doesn't matter to what it is all based on. It's a fact that there's tremendous need in human beings to follow, believe in, become attached to or related to authority figures for what it does for oneself. That one can observe and question. The security it seems to convey, the relieving one from the need and the work of seeing for oneself, finding out for oneself, which is applied energy. Often we're too lazy to find out for oneself. Lazy, not said in a derogatory way, in a descriptive way. So much easier to say what he says and repeat it. Particularly if that authority figure or leader is demanding that, expecting that, and promising rewards for it. How can one tell whether somebody really speaks out of seeing, out of emptiness, not out of a desire to manipulate or to convince or to influence? Does one have the sensitivity to find that out, to see that in another person? If not, one has to be utterly cautious. Even if one sees it, one can't take truth over from someone else. That's the beauty of it. It's totally incorruptible. It's not for sale. Been during this last period of being away from the center, and I always get to see more newscasts and hear right now, you may or may not be aware how much these investigations on the Iran-Contra scandal is called are taking place. And after we had a newscast where we could hear maybe a half-hour excerpt from these incredibly interesting hearings. It's unbelievable what is revealed in human beings, some of them sitting higher than others. The one who's questioned has to look up. Something is already put into the structure, and of course we have it with a pulpit and sitting on a platform to talk down to disciples. And these things do things already, set up image and authority. And after a excerpt of hearing and having a few commentators being consulted by the people who direct this broadcast, and often the question was that a credible witness? Do you feel this was a credible witness? And the people who were asked, maybe congressmen, senators, or other experts, they would either say, yes, he was quite credible, or no, he was not credible. What do you think? Do you think he was credible? Yeah, he was really credible. He had such open eyes. Really a patriotic man. That was a criterion of credibility. Truly patriotic, because other people felt, no, he was not credible. He wasn't just patriotic, he was a profiteer. How will one find out watching this newscast? Or does one have to come to a conclusion about credibility? Does one understand something about credibility? Where do we talk from? Particularly in front of an investigating committee. Where do we question from as the investigators, Republican and Democrat? Can one see the whole spectacle broadly, widely, openly? And one's own tendencies to take sides or to want to hear this or that. And not take sides. Just taking sides immediately narrows the vision, funnels it to cutting out information, cutting out data, facts. It comes back to the same question, doesn't it? How does one listen? Where does the listening come from? Does one know what one wants to hear, or is there no conclusion? No preconceived idea. Or if there is a preconceived idea and a conclusion, can it be revealed in awareness, without judgment? We will end here for today.